clothes have always made fashion statement for men and women for a long, long period of time, right up to 90s. And then came all the accessories. Watches was the first one. Then came sunglasses, then came eyewear. Women's accessories, obviously, both fashion as well as jewelry have been into play as well. And then footwear, along with sneakers, and then formal and casual wear. And we are going to go deeper in this topic, trying to understand for each one of these brands, their journey, their understanding of how their brand and product is making a fashion statement and where is it heading for tomorrow. So I want each one of them to really take on their own journey of their brand and how their brands and products, for example, Titan here has multiple products, so I want her to explain about not only watches but also about bags and sunglasses and eyewear as well and perfumes as well, as to what does it mean in terms of accessory to be a fashion statement and what are they really doing to make it a fashion statement per se. So let's start with you first.
Good morning to all, and thanks for being here. I hope more people join in as we speak.
Yes.
And thank you for putting this together for us here. As we speak about Titan, when Titan was founded and as we were growing, it was known that we will look at top to toe adornment of a human being. So whether it is watches, which we started with, or it is jewelry or sunglasses or accessories in small leather goods or bags or fragrances, all of this falls under the adornment category, and that is what Titan is looking at currently. So if I were to sum it up, how the journey has been in each of these divisions for us and what we look at fashion as. And so if I was to say watches, we started with watches which were in a particular price point, catering to a particular segment as the brand evolved. So we have a very strong brand called Raga. I'm sure most of you would have come across the ads that we have and the brand associations we have had with various celebrities, and even the product itself is a very strong language on fashion. So if I was to say it was an accessory, yes. It was not exactly a timekeeping device or a time-watching kind of a watch. It was a jewelry piece. It was a Shringar item way back then when we started this brand. And now where you see, maybe I'm not sure if you would have caught an eye on Alia's new watch and the ads that we are having with her. It is a journey that shows a bold self-expression. So now instead of saying she's dressing for him, she has moved on, the customer has moved on and now dressing for herself. So it's a bold self-expression where the journey has gone in terms of fashion is our understanding, and that is our take on Raga now. So this is one of our sub-brands, hence I spoke about it. And in terms of eyewear, I think we have more people, two panelists who will be able to add more value. But yes, where Titan sees it is fashion combined with utility and ergonomics when it comes to eyewear. And when it's sunglasses, definitely it's a fashion accessory. Though in India, still people are not very outlandish designs are being worn. Experimentation is not that great right now, but it's catching up. And more geometricals and rounds, I think, are now catching shape. So, yeah, and in fragrance, maybe if I was to put a few words, it's more internal led. It is the self-driven part is more and more prominent now. The olfactive senses have come into action. You'll be surprised to see that only 9 to 10% people in India actually use perfumes. I'm not talking about deodorants, but this is how the scope is. And now it's no more only about the florals or the citrus. We are moving towards oud and more niche fragrances as we are growing. So I think this has been the Titan take on various categories. I will speak about earth and fast-track bags in a bit. I think I will hand over the mic to Jacqueline also to speak about her things. Yeah.
Sure. Jacqueline, if you can talk about your journey of the brand, how it was born, and then how are you making this fashion statement for women?
Okay, my brand, I think, is one of the first fashion accessory brands with an Indian origin entering the organized retail market. I remember that when I started, I was the merchandiser for the only department multi-brand outlet in Pondicherry, which belonged to me and my husband. And I used to buy everything, and my daughter was very small then, but she loved little trinkets and, well, what every girl likes, what every woman basically likes, you know, the adornment section. And I went to Delhi and bought export surplus. And then I had it in that department store, and everybody came back to me and says, oh, wow, that's so beautiful. Where is this from? And I realized that there was a passion for me to follow, and B, there was a niche in the market which wasn't fulfilled yet. So I started with one tiny shop in Ahmedabad, I remember that, and then it just grew from there. And yeah, I'm still sitting here selling earrings, and what I think the biggest change has been that it's more accepted as fashion jewelry. I remember when I started, everybody said, what, you're selling junk jewelry? Junk jewelry? And I was like, no, I'm not selling junk. I'm selling
proper fashion jewelry.
Proper fashion statement jewelry. And yeah, in terms of the brand, I think I'm still the only brand, Indian brand, which sells Western jewelry. There's quite a few of accessory brands which concentrate on the ethnic market. I'm having my strongest lines are definitely in the Western jewelry, and I'm having a bit of ethnic jewelry, and I'm always have tried and I still try to find that very thin line of a crossover, which is the Indian-inspired Western workwear jewelry, because with the change of the clothing trends in India, I mean, 20 years ago, people were not wearing, there were not that many female or women's brand in terms of clothing, and that has obviously changed quite a bit. So the accessory market has to follow that, or even has to set the trend there. And that's what I'm trying to do with Ayesha.
Sure. Thank you.
Another thing which I'm very proud of, if you ask a lot of the girls, what is Ayesha? They're not only saying it's an accessory brand, they realize that they say something else. It's about strong women, because my marketing campaign since a long time now has that we don't only beautify you, we accept you as a thinking and independent young person. And all my marketing is going that. I had a line which called Girl Power Jewelry. All my marketing in the stores and on social media goes there. It's not only about your outer beauty, it's about your inner beauty and your inner strength.
Thank you. Priyanka, if you can talk about GKB first, and then how do you see accessories making the fashion statement, and what changes have you seen?
Absolutely. So GKB Opticals was started by my grandfather. He is the founder in 1959. And at that time, his only...
And what does GKB stand for, if you can
So
tell
GKB actually has stands for Gopal, Krishna and Brothers.
Yeah.
Gopal and Krishna were my grandfather's brothers at the time, and he had started this startup with his brothers. And, you know, the name Gopal and Krishna was considered auspicious for our family. And, you know, his mother, my grandfather's mother, was very keen. And, you know, having the name Gopal and Krishna, she found it very lucky. But however, now, you know, we go more by GKB and GKB Opticals. So it started in 1959, and at that time, his vision was very clear. He was not happy about the quality of lenses, because if you recall, at that time, we were a very lens-forward brand. And back in the 1960s and 70s, people were not as fashion conscious. They were more functional, and you know, people needed glasses to see. So eyewear was a very functional and it's a very fundamental part of a person's, you know, eyesight is the most important thing. And at that point of time, my grandfather was not able to sell or dispense, we call it dispense, good quality lenses. because in India we didn't have access to good quality prescription glasses. So he was a real risk taker at the time, and then he went to Germany and he said, I'm going to be the pioneer for introducing prescription lenses in India. So he was the first to introduce, before Titan, before Lenskart, before everybody, he was the first to introduce prescription eyewear in India, and he really disrupted the Indian market. And after that, people were able to see better. So that is the fundament of our industry, and I think we hold a lot of pride, is because we stand, our values and our philosophy always comes from sight. And now, me being the third generation, we have a lot more to expand, not just in quality eye care, which we take ourselves a lot of pride for giving quality eye care, because we care about our consumers' vision, our customers' vision. But for me, now we are moving more into quality eyewear. And for me personally, being a woman, I've been wearing glasses since I was 6 years old. And, I've always struggled as a child coming to terms with having to wear glasses all the time and maybe being made fun of. And I think today it's a very unique part of who I am. So I think eyewear is a lot more than something we just wear, but it's a way we express ourselves. The way we make a disability or a vision correction really something about our personality and about our individualism. So now we are moving more into fashion, and we are moving more into young teens today, a Gen Z crowd. Obviously, eye care is becoming a very big factor, because we are estimated by 2030, half of the population will require vision correction. So we want people to become very, very enthusiastic and really embrace wearing glasses. And it's not just wearing glasses, a spectacle, but it's wearing eyewear that really exuberates your personality. And that's how we are moving towards the new generation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Sunaina. Sunaina, if you can talk about why you started the brand, why did you name it Hats Off, and what is the journey now?
So I started Hats Off Accessories in 2015, and if you ask me why, there are a couple of things jumbling up in my head. I studied fashion retail, and a part of my course I had to travel to London, and I studied there a bit. I did a lot of research about brands, and when I was doing a research study in London, and I realized a lot of these brands that are designed in London or Italy or any part of the Europe, they're actually made in India. And that really kind of put a lot of thought into me, that a perception of an Indian brand versus a brand, let's say, which is European or British or American, is very different. And we never bother to read what is written in the tag sometimes, which is the country of origin. After doing that, I went back and I actually worked with my father. He was an exporter. I worked about 2 years under him, and just to understand what production is really about, I said that, okay, there is one aspect which is branding. You create a name, you create these beautiful stores, you create fashion campaigns. What really goes in the back? Let me really understand. And then what I really did was I studied the whole, not studied, I day in, day out, I would be part of the production cycle. I would see how the shoe's being made, what are the designs coming in. And while I was doing that, I was slightly doing my brainstorming of what brand I could create. Because every time I would think of an American or a British origin brand, and every time I would think of a manufacturing hub, India being one of the manufacturing hubs, I used to think, why can't I unite both these things and create a Indian handcrafted footwear brand? So that was where I started working on Hats Off Accessories. I would call up my college friends and say, okay, help me out with the logo. I don't have that money. Okay, my father is probably an exporter. He doesn't want to work with me. I want to create something of my own. So I would unite with a lot of these interns, young people who are creative. We would shoot these campaigns and we would make this really nice website. And that's how I created Hats Off Accessories. The whole idea of the brand was to bring in product category, which was very different from what, let's say, a Bata or a Liberty or a Red Tape were particularly doing that time. We wanted to introduce products like handcrafted brogues. We wanted to do penny loafers. We wanted to do double monks. In fact, my first collection in itself was a collection for women because when I started working, I said, I don't have good shoes for work. I don't want to wear sandals and I don't want to wear heels. What kind of shoes? I see men wearing brogues. Why can't women wear brogues? So a lot of my internal struggle has always been what the men are doing, why can't women do that? Why can't we have a seat at the table? Why can't a woman make a brand? Why can't we wear the same shoes that you do? So I started this collection which was handcrafted tassel loafers for women. And in fact, that time in 2015, no other brand was actually doing that. No other brand was actually making brogues for women. So we did launch that product line, but what I did see was in the Indian market, particularly the genuine leather, demand for genuine leather amongst women is still very limited. Now, there could be a lot of reasons. It could be from the supply chain in itself. The brands never really focused on offering leather shoes to women, so we can't really blame that they are not interested or they prefer synthetic or they prefer PU. They were never given that option because of the price sensitivity, because of the various designing that you can do in PU and stuff like that. So that's where I wanted to bring in genuine leather in the women's category. And moving on, I realized that the product category that was really selling for us were men's category. So we put all our effort, all our streamlines. We did these exclusive collaboration with back in the day with Coos, with Ajio, with Myntra. And that's how we took support of them and we slowly and steadily made our own brand name, Hats Off Accessories. So coming back to my thought process, there were clearly few things that I can think of that led to this brand. Definitely, I'm a preacher of women empowerment. You know, everybody says, what are you trying to stand here and talk about be in the game. You don't need to define your gender. But for the longest time, I've seen growing up that I did see no role models. I didn't see people in business. I didn't see, when I would go to a bank, I didn't see a lady. I would go to airline, I didn't see the pilot to be a lady. If I go to a business, I didn't see the CEO to be a lady. So I would see all these seats not being shared by women. So I thought that, okay, as when I grow up, I want to have a seat at the table and I want to have my own table. So for that, definitely one part of my vision was this. But beyond that, I would never, I personally didn't want to enter clothes sector because it's so largely crowded. And for the longest time, I do not understand the reason why accessories and footwear is not put on a pedestal. We have fashion shows where top to bottom, all we focus is on clothing. Till date, all the fashion shows, even in Mumbai, what the fashion shows are happening, I don't see any footwear designers. It's mostly what we see is garment designers being portrayed at the top. So definitely this is something that I felt that we must explore because India is one of the largest manufacturers of shoes. And we as a country, if we are not going to create homegrown Indian handcrafted shoe brands, then I don't know who's going to do that. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunaina. Shivi, if you can talk about how ClearDekho was born, what's the way ahead, where do you see it today, and what's the fashion statement that's coming out of ClearDekho?
Thank you for giving this opportunity. So ClearDekho was born in the villages, on the streets. I used to do eye camps. So I was doing eye camps for 5-6 years in very, very core remote areas of India. And I was seeing that consumers have a lot of eye care and eye issues, but no one is concerned because eyes are taken for granted by everyone, right? So if we talk about health care, I think eyes is the least part of any person's healthcare priorities. So I think that's where ClearDekho was born. So I have been seeing brands built in eyewear sector and eye care sector at the top, but there is hardly anyone who is talking about masses. So we thought that when we'll start giving glasses, so we'll give the glasses to the masses. I've been working with Wobby, so I've seen the fashion. How eyewear from a traditional category became a lifestyle product in US. And right. How can, I think one major part when we talk about accessories of fashion is, if we talk about mass consumer base, it has to be affordable. If it is not affordable, it cannot be seriously adopted at a mass level. And if it is not seriously adopted, it is not a fashion. Okay, so I think that is where my core learning came in, that how can we make eyewear as a fashion category product for the mass consumer basis.
What are the price points, Shivi, for your brand?
300 to 700.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yes, selling price. This is MRP. We give glasses at a higher value as well, but this is our average. So, you know what? Face is the most important part of your body, but
Yeah.
no one has ever thought about changing eyeglasses since last few years. So I think that is one very evoluted category which is just getting started, and many more brands will come up who will revolutionize this sector as well.
Yeah.
And one important aspect which I have learned from my journey, we are very small in terms of giants, but what I have learned is consumers need a lot of awareness first
Yeah.
before you start selling them something.
Absolutely.
And as Priyanka rightly said, that it is more about eyes rather than eyewear. Eyewear is just a product which everyone would buy eventually if you just talk about their eyes, or if you just try to understand what is their need.
Sure.
So I think consultation is a very critical part of our business. And I am a very high preacher of that. Just try to understand what customer needs, and he'll eventually buy. So
Sure.
from fashion point of view, I think we are just getting started in terms
Yep.
of a big fashion world.
Sure.
But I think in future there is a lot of scope for eyewear as a major fashion category product.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you everyone for opening up this whole topic. Now the second round, what I would like to do is go a little deeper in each category. For example, if you can really explore the multiple brands within Titan watches, for example. So if you look at right from a Fast Track to a Nebula, you have multiple brands out there. And what does it each brand mean? So you talked about Raga for sure, which is targeted specifically for women. But I would like you to cover maybe 5-6 of your brands and really explain to us what does each brand mean in terms of fashion, in terms of statement, in terms of, I would say, positioning.
Yeah. So as you rightly said, Titan has an array of options to a consumer, and they have targets as to which person we are targeting where. So in case when we spoke about Raga, Raga, yes, is a ladies brand, and the positioning now is changing. We are, earlier it used to be a very dressy and that kind of a brand. So now we are moving away from crystals, because we think crystallization of a product is having a very polarized view and liking from the customer segment. So we are moving a little away from it in terms of positioning, and the kind of proportions in the watches that we are getting now, a little broader strap. So the proportions are a little changing now, in the sense, because if you see a lady now and her wardrobe is ever evolving. So it's very fluid now, from a sari to a jumpsuit, something that can appeal to a woman for her wardrobe, which can go on from different kinds of products that she wears. So something on those lines. So Raga has been evolving on a more design and a subtle language than what it was some years back, and that is how the changing in positioning is happening. If I was to talk about the gents categories, we have a sub-brand called Octane, which is the sporty watches. So they are also trying to celebrate different colors, because men now are also, so it's a very thin line now. People want to wear a multifunction watch to an office also. So the whole piece on formal and semi-formal and casual is now blending, and it's blurring. So be it a man or be it a woman, that whole thing of 9 to 5 and 5 to 9, which can continue as an accessory, that kind of a array of time that we need to keep in mind, and that kind of a purpose or occasion that the person might be attending to has to be kept in mind when we are designing and positioning, even in terms of our communication. And so this is what we are doing on the men's side. And if I was to talk about the youth brand Fast Track, which is typically targeting the youth of the nation. So earlier, years back, Fast Track was all about the edgy fashion. There will be a sensual touch in the advertisements that we used to do. But that is no more true, because now the youth is not feeling that it's great to be seen as sensual or sexual or all of that. So that is now out of picture, and now the positioning has changed for fast track. We are moving more to be seen as cool is effortless. Cool is something more fluid, is about a bold expression about yourself. So it's not about trying to make oneself appear as sensual anymore. So that is the shift which has come in fast track.
Right.
And yes, with Sonata, which is the which is our economical mass range, which is mainly going into the tier 2, tier 3 towns. So there also a shift has come where we are saying those people have also, earlier Sonata used to be only golden watches, the yellow metal watches. Now we have made a shift, and this is now more for an aspirational youth. So we have super fibers and many more different designs which are closer to Titan, maybe in an urban sense, are coming in Sonata. So that is how the shift has come in the rural market as well. And if I was to speak about Nebula, Nebula is our 18 karat solid gold watches. So it is a take on watches which is like a heirloom product, a heirloom accessory. It's like a jewelry piece, but obviously you should not mistake it to be an investment into gold. It is purely the craftsmanship and the workmanship that we are looking at. So some people who are arrived in life, or somebody who wants it for a special occasion or a milestone or something, those are our typical customers. And it's a generation's watch which people pass on. So this is about Nebula, and across this, what we see, the positioning has greatly changed from what it was 15 years back in time and what we see now. So now, if you see even in the Western wear watches that we have, ladies purple, there's a lot of use of ceramics because ceramics is in. In gents, there is an Edge collection that we have, which is the slimmest watch in the world. There also we have brought in Edge ceramic, which is a super product right now, and it's flying off the shelves is what I'll say. So that is the kind of materials that Titan is trying with, and that is the positioning of getting into something new every time. And as we speak, there will be new products which will be getting launched. So Titan is all about innovation, offering new products to the customer, and hence the positioning also keeps changing with evolving customer and their wardrobes, because that is essentially where we see it as a layer of accessorization.
So it's evolving with the customer all the time.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Jacqueline, over to you. So when you started the brand, Indian women were mainly still dressing ethnic wear. And from that, what you see today is so much of Western wear dressing that's happened. And how has that influenced your designing, and how is the accessory design happening today?
Well, actually, I started off with only Western jewelry. I didn't have any ethnics in there. But then if you go to a fancy restaurant and there's all kinds of food on the menu, and then you have chicken tikka and dal masala, then unfortunately you'll figure out your chicken tikka still sells best. So I started selling jumkis. They're my chicken tikka.
That's right. Core.
And in the Western section, it's hoops. So as I said, I mean, even though the trend has become more Western in the clothing lines, I started very early on with just Western.
Sure.
I sell about 70% Western still and 30% Indian, but that's because my offering also is much lesser in the ethnic wear, and I think my competition is much better, and my brand stands for Western jewelry. Now, maybe I'm no Titan, but I have some sub-brands also. So one thing is called Little Stars, and that's the target customer here is the young mother who buys for her daughter or her son, mostly for her daughter. And we all know that now we all want little mini-me's, and our daughters are like dressed to the top and have hairbands and earrings and necklaces and little bags and little belts. And I think there's an incredible scope in the Indian market, and nobody has really tapped into it. So we're doing that. And if you look at other Asian markets, it's a huge market. So that's one thing. It's called Little Stars, and it's available. It's Little Stars by Ayesha. Then I have another sub-brand called Unknown, and I have a little funny story to tell about that. Unknown, which is for the young men.
Young men.
And
Oh.
I'm sure most people know that Ayesha is called Ayesha because my daughter is called Ayesha, and she was very well known at that point, and I thought I'd get a free model with a name. So when I started my boys' range, I asked my son Milan whether he wanted to have it in his name, and he said, "No, no, Mama, I want to stay unknown."
Okay.
So that's why the boys' brand is the unknown heroes, because it's a subtle line. It's not
Sure.
like flashy. So that's my boys' brand, and what I'm dreaming of for the future is a pets line.
Pets line. Okay.
Yes, because I think I'm a big animal lover. I have 40 horses, 4 dogs, and 10 cats, so and 2
Wow.
camels. I think there's again a big potential, and we see some brands coming up, but that's more like functional, and I think a really cute line for cats and dogs and would do really well, and you know, have little Diamante collars for our little doggies. I think that would be actually selling very well.
Sure, sure. Excellent. Priyanka, you talked about how eyewear actually starts first with protection and then gets into the fashion element. So what's the kind of trends? For example, the kind of lens that you're wearing today, what is it called? You already told us that it's from Balenciaga, but what's the kind of new trends in the frames that are coming in, including material, shapes, colors, because that's what is really adding to fashion.
So for eyewear, I would like to break it down. I'm sure Shivi will also give a lot of context to this.
Yes.
But there are 2 parts of it. One is the frame. The
Yep.
frame is basically like the window pane or the window, the sides of the window, the frame. And inside is a lens. And the lens is like the window itself. And lens is like the engine, you know, of a car. So for us, lens is the most important category, because no matter how beautiful your frame is, if you have an inferior quality lens, your glasses are not going to last very long, and you know, you will have to change it again, or especially for our customers who have very complicated vision. They end up investing in lenses much more. But we feel lens and frame is like a marriage, and a marriage should be of 2 equals, right? So if you are wearing a high quality lens, so I'm wearing this lens called Nova. It's from Vision RX Labs, and Nova is it's a quite a well-known lens brand in India. And they have various price points. And, you know, as Nova is a superior quality lens, it should be married with a superior quality frame. And hence, we work with a lot of international brands. So, and as well as we would like to work more with Indian brands, that is our future. But because, you know, I wear you know, I mean, Italy and France is basically were the pioneers of invention of eyewear. We work a lot with Italian and French brands, you know, to marry with our lenses. So that is, you know, how our categories and our various brands, and, you know, obviously our consumers are looking for various styles. So we try to be very style forward. We keep a lot of brands, over 60 international as well as our own house brands as well. And our price points start from about 4,005. That's the average price point, but we start lower as we have 2 categories of stores, A and B. But you know, it really depends on what your style is and what your needs are. And we try to cater something to everyone. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question for her.
Yeah, sure.
As we can all see, her outfit and her glasses are matching.
Completely coordinated.
And I remember when we had to wear glasses. I mean, when I was young, I had 1 pair of glasses. Now I have, I think, 10. How many do you have?
I'll sound very embarrassing, but I have over 30 pairs.
Wow. But that's the way ahead. That's the way ahead.
I, yes, yes, I style my eyewear to my clothes. I've been wearing glasses since I was 6. So I remember at this one point of time, I think this was about like when we were in middle school. And I went to one of our stores and I really liked these oversized, red, chunky glasses. And I went to school. I was so excited wearing those chunky frames to school because, we were all wearing boring uniforms. What else could we do to stand out? And I was always a rebel. I was like, I want to do something to stand out. And after seeing me wearing those nerdy, cool glasses to school, I think the others followed as well. And we sort of created a trend. And it was pretty fun. So yeah, since then, I think eyewear is a very staple part of my wardrobe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sunaina,
Yes. Oh, you
what I want to know from you now is,
Yes.
having launched footwear as a category, where do you see the next level of fashion statement in terms of material,
Yeah.
color? Because now men are also adopting
Yeah.
colorful sneakers, colorful
Yeah.
shoes as well.
Yeah.
Where do you see that progression?
So this is our core category. We started out with men's basic formal category, and the core range that we built were mostly in leather, and what we would focus was what we used to focus really was on the shades of the tans we would do. Because we knew if you actually go to a shoe store or any shoe store in a mall or online, you just find 3 basic categories. You have a basic tan, you have a black and a brown. When we launched our collection, we made sure we would have at least minimum of 10 shades of tan. So that in its own self was a very different differentiation for a product range, and especially coming from e-commerce, because you can sit and actually scan through each photo and see the different shades and colors. What we've seen over the years has been that there has been slight change in how men really dress up. There used to be a way how we would think that they would like to dress up, which was very formal. You wear a suit, you wear your Oxfords, or you would wear brogues, or you would wear lace-ups. But time has changed, and we've seen now people would even wear sneakers to work. Now, when I talk about sneakers and an adaptation, and we've done that, we've launched sneakers in hats-off accessories as well. When we talk about sneakers, it doesn't mean bifurcation of a leather brand going to a Nike or an Adidas. What we've done these cup soles, TPR soles, keeping those finishes on same leathers. We do certain patina finishes, and we do crust leather, and there are different sorts of leathers that we also have. So that is something that we try to focus on, that the brand still remains a handcrafted shoe company, yet we can create hybrids. Another really key selling product that we really have is a formal shoe. So you have a brogue, but what we've done is we've given a cup sole to it. So it has a sole of a sneaker, but the upper remains of a formal shoe. So those are certain things that we keep working on and creating bifurcation on the products. A new product line that I was really keen to launch, and for the largest time I did not, because I wanted Hats Off to be an affordable brand. And it's contrary, luxury is ideally not affordable. If you look at it, luxury has never been affordable. Luxury is supposed to be a far-fetched idea. You don't measure it by volume, or you don't measure it by costing. It is just a perception. And that is why I wanted to break into the whole idea where Hats Off was supposed to be and it is, for me still it is, an affordable luxury brand, because I know what kind of quality we're using. We're using, we're ensuring we are having the best quality leather sourced from all the tanneries, and those are qualified. These are qualified by Leather Working Group, so we ensure that it's chrome-free, it has no damage to the environment. These are certain factors that we key in when we are sourcing the kind of products, and we make the shoes that we do make. So I feel it's really important for the customers to really evaluate and understand the journey of their product as well. And now, to ensure that, what we've done is we've launched a bespoke line. in the bespoke line, what we really do, we welcome the customer to come to a studio, we take their measurement, we would make a mold on the basis of the measurement that we take, we do the fittings, we'll design the upper as per the colors that they want, we change whatever requirements have to be done as per they want. So those are different things that we've kind of spanned out over the years, that personalization and customization is going to be the future. So it's very important when I talk about customization and personalization, these are not just words, okay, I change the color and this is personalized for me, or I put a logo and it's personalized. No, when I talk about customization, you can get a suit stitched for yourself. You should be able to do that for a shoe as well, and it should be accessible. So I feel that's going to be the future, and I don't know how we'll be able to digitalize that. That's still something really challenging. For this process, we do need the person to visit to our studio. We take the measurements, although we also have the facility where they could take a sketch of their feet and send it to us. But a lot of new technology has come out where they could 3D scan their feet, and we would get that. We would be able to fetch those measurements. All of these things require a lot of investment. So we like to keep things very frugal and keep it very simple so far. But if we do get some sort of investment in future, I'm sure we'll be able to invest in those sort of 3D scannings and apps and technologies to make this whole bespoke shoemaking very much digitalized. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sunaina. Shivi, coming to you, I'm so happy to hear that you are really serving the bottom end of the customer, tier 2, tier 3 and below, and at a price which is really, really affordable. But how do you make it so affordable? You manufacture it here, and what's the plan for future? Because many of the other competitors of yours have invested in manufacturing, in frames, etc. What's the plan really?
So we are not manufacturing yet. Eventually, yes, manufacturing is one of the key aspects. Sure. Because when we talk about P&L, I think one critical part of our business is we do not want to lose the gross margin part.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we want the cost of goods sold to go low.
Correct.
And that is where eyewear is across the world, right? So there's fancy margins across. What we have tried to do in the short term is we have cut down the margins for a retailer. For example, we are retailing. If we need, let's say, 20% more margins,
yeah,
we have gone with the frills. And it's a low-cost budget airline, right?
Sure.
So the seats are very, very basic. There is no leg space, nothing. So what we have tried to do is that we are trying to give basic product.
Yeah.
We are not upgrading the product with many features. Otherwise, the price goes up. So because our base agenda is the guy who has a vision issue, he needs to start wearing first.
Give him a solution.
Yeah, so he needs to start adopting a solution.
Correct.
We have 7 stores in villages, proper villages.
Wow.
We are the only opticals serving those villages.
So these are mainly in the northern area? Or?
Northern area.
Okay.
We are going in northeast as well, little bit, but primarily north. Because I've seen that south is most penetrated market in terms of eyewear and eye care. And north is most under-penetrated market if we talk about remote areas.
Sure.
So I think manufacturing is something which we will look once the volume justify that.
Sure.
Because the competitors who have started manufacturing have done recently, 3-4 years back only. And we are also sourcing from the same source where everyone is sourcing, which is China primarily.
Correct.
Because that gives us the margin to cut the cost and give it at better affordable price to the consumer. And plus, one major aspect for our consumers is no bullshit customer. So either you give it, there's no marketing gimmick, okay? So there's no buy one, get one. There's only buy one and you get one only.
At a fixed price.
Okay, so either you give it or get lost.
Sure.
They don't want to wear it, okay? So we have learned it hard way. We have done all the loyalty programs, all the schemes. It doesn't work in the villages, in the smaller areas.
Yeah.
They just want one pair because they really need it, and you give it at their price.
Sure.
Otherwise, get lost, they don't want to wear it.
Sure. Thank you. I think we are coming to the end. Just to sum up, what we are hearing out here is the 3 or 4 things that really stand out. One is the customers have changed, especially the women customers who moved from ethnic towards Western. Number 2, lifestyles have changed, and because of which people have added multiple products in the same category. So for example, when I started my career, I had just one watch. Today, maybe I have 12. And what we heard from her is 30 glasses. Maybe she picks up the glass first and then decides the dress that she wants to wear. So that's where the customer is moved really. The journey is really changed, and that's where what we wanted to really talk about was fashion is also being made through accessories. That's what we really talked about, whether it is watches, whether it is women's accessories, whether it's footwear, sunglasses, or even basic eyewear, taking care of the tier 2, tier 3. Thank you for joining us. I wish there were more people, because I thought the whole discussion was pretty good and pretty solid in terms of where India is heading for, in terms of where the customer is heading for, and where this category is heading for. Thank you. Thank you all the panelists for joining in so enthusiastically and sharing your journeys. Thank you so much.